hello. Welcome back, everybody, to Horse Center. It's me, Julie Ramjeet, and my wonderful, amazing host, Swiss Army Sean. And we are here tonight with a Mid-Atlantic native, TJ Aguirre. So excited to have you.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm really appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Yeah, I was super pumped. I kept telling Sean all week, basically, as we were talking about the interviews. I was like, yeah, and he's from the Mid-Atlantic. Yeah, he's from the Mid-Atlantic. I'm really trying, to get people just through this whole circuit, get them some attention. So I'm super pumped that you're here. So let's start out. We know that your dad, you grew up in the business, but let's tell people who don't know a little intro to how you got involved in racing.
So I'm a sixth-generation horseman on my dad's side of the family. Very fortunate to be able to have a kind of step ahead of a lot of people in this game because both my parents were ex-jockeys. So my mom won over 300 races. My dad actually started his bug in Penn National. Wow. So we have a lot of Mid-Atlantic resources around here. And so I got a little head start in this game thanks to my parents, and grew up around horses all my life. I had a pony at 5 years old. So it was just one of those things that eventually I was going to be here. I kind of went away from it as I grew up, kind of went through football and stuff like that. And when I was in college, I kind of needed a job. And my dad was like, come walk horses, plain and simple.
I got a job for you, right? We have plenty of work in the barn.
Exactly. I was walking hots, and then I went to college throughout the rest of the day. And then just worked my way up the ladder. I went from walking hots to being a groom to being a foreman for another barn to eventually galloping horses. And then obviously now I'm training them.
And you rode a race, right?
I actually rode my first race as an amateur jockey last September. It was a great experience. Just one of those things that I wanted to say, like, hey, I did it. I went through what the jocks went through. I went through cutting weight, losing weight, and doing all that stuff. So
I know list check, right? That was something on the bucket list.
Yes. And honestly, if the opportunity came again, I would definitely do it again.
I like how they, have the amateur races up there every once in a while, and just gives people a shot who obviously wouldn't make standard jockey weight, a chance to feel the thrill. So I love that.
Oh, it's definitely a thrill. And honestly, just once you get into the gate, everything's out the door. The nerves, everything leave you, and those doors open, and you feel the thrill of being in a race.
Yeah, talk about that a little bit. So what was the hardest part being out there?
Honestly, the hardest part was getting my weight down because I'm not as small as most of the jockeys in there. Obviously there is some tall ones. I know your guest that you had on here before, Butterfly. He's actually taller than me. But it's just one of those things is definitely you got to maintain your diet. You got to watch your weight. You got to work out. You have to stay fit. Then the next thing is just you got to have a clock in your head. I know I went pretty fast out of the gate during my amateur race. I was just talking to everybody in the room. I was like, I'm going to be the first one out of the gate. I can tell you that right now. That's one of my recipes. I can get a horse out of the gate. I'm going to the front. What happens from there, I don't know.
Just send, and just pray, right? Hold on and pray.
Exactly.
Right, but I love it. I love the enthusiasm. It's an amateur race. You get to do something that you wanted to do, just, to scratch that itch. And it seems like you had fun. So I feel like that's really important. I love that. I like how it gives people a chance to have an insight to what riders do go through. So let's talk a little bit about your career. Let's talk about the new year. Any plans? What's coming up for the Aguirre barn?
We're really waiting for some turf horses to come back. Most of my wins have actually come on the grass. I know I don't have too many wins in my young career. Last year was definitely a record-setting year, winning my first stakes win and almost eclipsing 500,000 in earnings. Just waiting for the big horses to come back in. Got a couple nice ones to come back, and hopefully a nice turf season. And we got a couple promising 2-year-olds and a couple 2 turning 3-year-olds right now that we're really looking forward to, and a couple have been working really well.
Nice. How many do you have in your outfit right now?
Currently, we just only have 9.
Okay.
8 and a pony.
Okay.
But
Are they yours or are they owners?
they're right now, all that I have in the barn are all owners. I don't
Okay,
own
nice.
any of the ones currently, so that definitely helps.
That helps. Yeah. That definitely helps.
So what is it about the turf that you said you get some more wins? So what do you think your strength is with the turf?
To be honest, I don't. I kind of look at angles. One of my best fillies, Double Fireball. I claimed her with that outlook on her, saying that she's better bred for the grass, and a lot of people run these better bred turf horses cheaper on the dirt. And this is one of those things you just kind of take advantage. And that's another thing is when you're buying them out at a sale, people don't want to wait for the turf, so you're able to get them a lot cheaper than you would expect. And that's how I found some of my luck, I should say.
And you brought up Double Fireball. That's the horse in the picture, correct?
Yes, that is yes.
So I want to touch a little bit on that. You were talking about turf horses and, people not wanting to wait, so they'll run them cheap on the dirt. I see it happen here often at Charlestown. Horses ship in and you look at the form and I'm going, where, why, do you think it's just a matter of setting them up for the correct race and not letting them stand, or are people taking a shot?
There's a lot of angles to it. A lot of people, especially after the turf season ends, they drop them in real cheap for the dirt because at the end of the day, it's like sometimes these owners, they don't want to pay for the farm bill. They rather just like, all right, let's move on. Let's get another horse. I've been very fortunate with all my owners. It's just like any other athlete in the world. We need an off season. They need a break. They need some time off. They need to just drop their head and just be a horse,
I love that.
There's a lot of things that come into it, and so I always take advantage of that when I can with an owner. I always say like, hey, let's just give them 30 days off. It's not going to hurt. They're not going to lose too much fitness, and by the time next thing you know, you'll be racing again.
Yeah, and I feel like that's super beneficial to the horse. Do you have a spot where you lay up or let them down, or how does that work being stabled at the track?
So I am very fortunate because obviously my mom's in the game and she's actually the outrider here in Maryland. She has a small little farm that she rents, and I turn a couple of my turf horses out there during the winter. And anytime during the summertime, if they need a layup, I send them there for 30, 45 days. I also have a couple friends where my owners, Bald Cypress Equestrian, Tyler and Hannah, I actually have Double Fireball right now at their farm. Just one of those things, you just build those connections, and next thing you know, you have resources that you can use.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. It's very important that they get to drop their head and be a horse sometimes, and I feel like that's missed out a little bit. People get so caught up in my horse is running really, really well, but a breather is nice. So on that note, let's talk about aftercare and how that's important in your stable. What do you do to promote proper aftercare for these horses that are done running that have gone through your barn?
I'm very fortunate. My wife, Ashley, she is in the show business. She works for CWD, and obviously she's got a lot of connections to rehoming and having those people that love off the track thoroughbreds to turn into show horses. My one owner, Doug, he is a breeder. So we got the breeding connection when it comes to mares, because a lot of people want the big hefty boys. So sometimes it's hard for the girls, but we have connections there too, to where we can find them.
Proper homes. That's really nice, and that's great that your girlfriend, kind of helps you out with that, because I feel like that's super important. And it's so cool when you can take one to the winner's circle and then you get an update, right? Of like, look at this horse now, and he's like clearing 4-foot fences and living his best life. So I love that.
So, TJ, you either didn't want 2022 to end at all, or you needed a little breather too, because you got to ride your first race, you had a career year of training, and you also got married last year. So you had a big time 2022.
It was a very eventful 2022. A lot of things changed and grew rapidly. But I'm very fortunate for everything. I know one of my most hectic days was my first stakes win. I got done training here in Maryland. Had to rush to Colonial, which is a 3-hour drive, saddled my filly in the second race, won the stake, did a little interview, and then bolted to the airport at BWI to go to Vegas for my bachelor party.
I'm muted, but what a way to I was like, what a way to celebrate your steak win, right? Like the universe set that up perfectly. Like you're winning a steak and you're going to a bachelor party. I know there was extra celebration in Vegas for sure.
Yes, it was a great 24 hours. Let's just say that.
That is wild. That's really cool.
Now let's circle back to when you got your trainer's license, the process with that, and talk about your first career win as a trainer on your own.
So the process, I just kind of worked my way up the ladder. I was working underneath a couple of trainers, Hugh McMahon, Michael Trombetta, Jeremiah Englehart when he was in Maryland, Robin Graham, Jose Corrales, a list of people that I just kind of learned under. Was a foreman for Englehart. Obviously, I worked for my dad too. He taught me a lot, and just kind of just put everything together into my own little project and just kind of learn how I wanted to train my way. And the biggest part was definitely preparing for a test because college was just not for me and test taking was not my specialty. So it was definitely a little stressful going into that, but it's just one of those things you just got to go in there and do it and just hope for just hope for you to pass. I mean, just hope you do your best. And very fortunate, my first try, I got it done. And then actually my first win was my first purchase ever from buying my horse on my own. I used to always go to the sales with my dad, watch horses walk up and down the aisle and just watch how they walk. Are they a little crooked? Do they toe in? Do they toe out? Do they have a nice clean walk? Do they look like they're about to trip themselves? Like all those little things that he taught me. I just fell in love with one little colt and was very fortunate. Nobody bidded on him. He was a Maryland bred. I mean, his mare was 9 for 9. It was kind of one of those things like, why is nobody bidding on this guy? Like this guy's a perfect little horse for somebody. And he went unsold, and I followed him back to his stall, and I said, I want to buy this horse. Thankful for a friend of mine, Dennis Huey. He actually helped me out and kind of got the negotiating done for me. Got him for $1,500, and his little win picture is right here.
Aww.
That's Benny Havens. So I bought him for $1,500, and one of those things people don't want to wait for turf horses. He's all turf, and was very fortunate. The Breakers made him for $40,000. That was a big, huge first win. Breaker made it for $40,000 off a $1,500 purchase.
Yeah, you got your money back.
And he did it as a 2-year-old too. So it was just one of those things to win that so early on in my career. And the greatest thing about that is my dream was always to be leading trainer. And I won the first race of the opening day of the fall meet. So I got my 15 minutes of fame as leading trainer. Let's just say that.
I love
Did you print that out and post that everywhere?
Yes, actually, I have a newspaper clipping of where it said I won the first race of the meet and everything. So it was pretty cool to hold on to.
I love it.
So how did you celebrate that first win? And then also, the jockeys have their whole thing on how they actually get introduced once they win that first race. There's nothing for trainers. We need to start a tradition for trainers for that.
Yes, that would be really cool. That would be really cool to do that. That night I actually went and celebrated with my dad and our owner, Ultra Championship Racing, Ralphie. He was there. He actually finished third in the race, my dad. So it was also another thing I get to beat my dad. So during that race. And then the guy that I was actually galloping for at the time, because I was galloping for him. And then at the end of the morning, I would go train my horse. It was for Anthony Ferrier. So we all went out and had hibachi.
Nice.
Now, we always talk about there's a lot of women that come on here and they just love their horses. The guys love their horses too, but it's not as promoted or as said because guys come off a little tougher. You, on the other hand, you can see the love for the horses. So just talk about that. And I'll tell you, all the comments I've ever seen, or when Bryson was on here, what he was saying, you're one of the hardest workers. You love your animals. You'll do anything with those horses. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. I like to build a bond with them. It's just one of those things. I like to get them to go out there and relax. A lot of the people that kind of rush their horses on and off the racetrack, and it's just a never-ending cycle for them. And this is one of those things. Is like I don't want to treat them like it's a factory. I want to. We're a team. I'm the coach. You're my players. But at the end of the day, we live and die on this together. So one of my big things is I like to go out and stand my horses. They like to go out and stand, enjoy the weather, take a deep breath, kind of just watch other horses train. That's something big that I like to do. And another thing is like Double Fireball, Benny Havens, all those horses. There's a couple that I actually grew myself. So at the end of the morning, like after I get done galloping and they get fed or whatever, I go in there and I brush them off, and I do everything, put their bandages on. It's just a team bonding type thing, and I'm very hands-on with my horses. Another thing my dad taught me, just to be very hands-on. Every last horse, you want to know every inch of them. Another, obviously, a guy that just retired, Dale Capuano, was a very hands-on trainer. He's someone to look up to in this game, and he looked over every horse, every inch of them. And that was one thing that, they taught me, and I kind of followed that. And it's just one of those things, you want to build those bonds with those horses so they feel the love back and they can give it back.
And the tough part of the game is the claiming game. Have you ever lost a horse because of that?
So I've lost a couple. I try not to get attached. That's the biggest thing. A lot of people say, like the female trainers get really attached to their horses, and that's the tough part of the game. It happens, but I've also claimed off other people and took their horses. So it's just one of those things. You just got to get used to. It happens in the game.
We have a comment here from Grandma Horse Racing. I believe she's actually translating for another guest or another fan that's commented in Spanish. And he's asking, in what track do you race? He races in Maryland mainly, right?
Yes, mainly. I've actually licensed in a lot of states in the Mid-Atlantic: New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, Delaware, West Virginia, the list goes on.
And then we have an idea here. Give them $100 cigar for first win.
Definitely got to do something. I'm surprised that's never been done. I don't understand what the difference is. Trainer jockey, right? I mean, first win's a first win.
Exactly. It's a huge feat. That's definitely for sure.
So if you would have got your win as a jockey as an amateur race, would you got that treatment too?
Probably because I'm friends with a lot of jockeys. My wife actually took a picture when I came up because we're at Pimlico, so the grandstands, the jock's room is right above the paddock. And as I was going up to the paddock, it was Javier Toledo, Kevin Gomez, and Xavier Perez had me cornered, saying, "What were you doing? You should have done this. Why are you going so fast?" Just heckling me. So I could have definitely saw me getting egged or baby.
Oh, they were gonna get on you if you won for sure, especially since you're a native there and they know you so well.
Yeah, they all watched me grow up, so it's definitely something was gonna happen.
All right, you've got Eddie chiming in. TJ, my brother.
Otto, my man, right there.
So let's talk a little bit about your dad and you kind of stepping into his shoes per se. What's probably, other than you talked about looking at the horses and going over and being hands-on, what's the most one thing that you could say that sticks out to you, a piece of advice from him that you will never forget in this business?
So that's a good question. Just one of those things is to really never give up in this game, even when you get down. Like, this has been a really rough winter for us. And, my dad has always said, on the other side of the storm, it's going to be clear, and that's one thing he's done. He's had the same process when he first started training. He's had that fluctuating number when it went from 35 to 10. It's definitely happened. And it gets tough throughout the winter. And we just, like you said, just got to weather through the storm, and it's going to be a nice sunny day soon.
Oh, absolutely. I love that. And it does. And it's tougher here on the East Coast, obviously. A lot of, the Midwest and the West Coast, they don't really know the winter struggle, but it can be pretty brutal. So, and especially if you have your own outfit and you've got bills to pay and the whole 9 yards, owners getting anxious to run, it's a lot of pressure, right? Being here where the seasons kind of play a big part.
Yeah, no, the weather is definitely something you got to battle against. And that's another thing, with all my turf horses, because you got to battle the entry box, then you got to battle a 12-horse field, and then you also got to battle the weather. There's a lot of things that go into this game that a lot of people don't realize. It's not easy to win.
So sorry, Sean, I'm cutting you off. Although the first you have the win in Colonial, are all other 13 wins in Maryland?
So I got 1 win at Charlestown and another one at Prescott, 2 wins at Colonial. So 10 of my 14 wins are all in Maryland.
Okay, nice. I love that. And do you have more plans to ship out like up and down the Mid-Atlantic, or are you trying to just kind of focus on Maryland right now for the new year?
It's a lot easier to stay home. It's a lot easier to walk your horse right out of its stall and onto its own track, its own home field advantage type deal. So I always try my best to stay in Maryland and race in Maryland, and definitely support all Maryland racing and Maryland breds. And that's another thing I like to do is get Maryland breds. But, if there's a race out there that I can take advantage of and try to win, I think I'm going to have a shot in there. I won't deny it and won't turn it down.
I like that. Very smart. Yeah. And like you said, I mean, you probably they're probably so welcoming to you, right? In Maryland, you've grown up there. Your mom's the outrider. Your dad, has been there for years. So do you have a sense of family at Maryland? They're very welcoming. Like that feels like home to you?
Yeah, actually, me and my wife hosted a little Christmas party with a couple, small group of friends, and they were all racetrackers. I mean, it's just, I got a great friendship with a lot of people. Good friends with Brittany Russell, Sheldon Russell. Sheldon Russell actually married me and my wife, or Ornette. So,
oh
wow. So I'm good friends with them. Obviously, Anthony Ferrier, who was the leading trainer at Charlestown. Good friends with him, and just a lot of connection growing up, obviously, for all the people that I worked under. So I definitely built some bonds around here, and, got a great supporting cast.
Do you think that you had more of an advantage than somebody, say, coming from not a racing background? Or do you think they were a little harder on you because the people that you were shadowing under, working for, expected you to know more?
Not necessarily either one of those options. It was just kind of one of those things. You just got to get that opportunity. In this game, it's really tough because as a younger face, I guess you can say, is the tough part about it, because there's all these older established trainers.
Right.
So when owners come into the game, it's just one of those things like, why would I go to the new kid when this guy's won every year and is always competing for leading trainers? So it's definitely tougher to grow a business that way. So that would be the only downfall, is just actually my age.
Well, we support the rising stars and the underdogs and the young ones coming up, because you guys are the future of racing. And soon those big guys with those high stats are going to be out, and, you'll be on your way up. And one day you'll be the trainer that the young guys comparing themselves to, saying, they want to go to him. He's won all those races and I'm just trying to come in. So it's full circle, and you've seen that, I'm sure. Yeah. And it ebbs and flows so much. And I think just staying consistent and focused and, eyes on the prize, like not giving up. I think that is definitely key.
Definitely. Even when your back's against the wall, like I said, this winter has been really tough for me. It's just one of those things you kind of get down on yourself. You got to remember it's going to be brighter on the other side, and you just got to pick yourself up and keep battling. You see all these people winning races left and right, and you're just sitting there like, I got 5 horses that are running and I'm not doing good right now. But it's just, you're going to get through it, and it's going to be better. And, the owners are going to come, the horses are going to come. It's just, you just got to wait for your opportunity and just strike when it's at there.
And timing is everything. My husband and I just moved back to Charlestown, and we went through a really rough spout the past 2 years, just with health issues with our daughter and and we had those moments where we were sitting back, but same thing, everybody being successful, getting to do what they love to do. And I always told him, what's for you will be yours, period.
Yes.
And for whatever reason, if you're being paused or things are slow, there's always something else to come out of that. So I think you have a great mindset, to not get frustrated and say, man, this isn't my season, screw this, because it's so easy to do. It's easy to do. It's hard work. And then when the hard work doesn't seem like it's paying off, it can get a little frustrating. So definitely keep the positive attitude. We love to see that. And we know you're going to do great. We don't doubt that.
Absolutely. So how old are you, TJ?
I am 27 right now.
Okay. So what do you think horse racing has to do more of, even though we're highlighting a lot of young people in this sport? it seems young people are in the sport, but young people aren't coming to the sport.
Yeah.
So what do you think some things we got to do? And what about if you have, I know most of your friends and stuff are probably racetrackers like you've already mentioned, but if you have any off the track, what do they say about the whole horse racing thing?
So I've actually brought a couple of friends from like old high school friends and stuff like that to the races, and they've always had great experiences. They loved it. They love gambling on horses, watching it live. It's a different vibe. And they've actually come back multiple times. But that's definitely one thing that I've seen. We've had a college day at Pimlico, and it was really popular with the younger crowd. And I just think they need to kind of do that more often.
Everywhere.
Yeah, just promote it. Just do your best to promote to the younger crowd because, you know, nowadays everybody can do it from home. They can watch the races from home and you can bet from home. But it's like one of those things you'll never get that experience when it's live right in front of you. And that's one of those things you got to kind of get them promoted and kind of give. You got to give to get, you know. So
I totally agree.
They give to the younger group. They're going to come and they're going to give back, you know. So. That's
and so many, and you have that in Maryland because you have the college right there. Why can't we promote it everywhere? You know, I don't like how it's a little bit of here and a little bit of there. I just really wish we had some type of even playing field for promoting it. Because like a lot of people who aren't in it don't know. And we've talked about that all week about how they can be in it, even if they're not hands-on with the horses. All the different opportunities to get involved with racing, you know, and I don't think it's that they don't want to. I think it's lack of knowledge of knowing that it exists, right?
And that's the other thing is too, like you see a lot of these younger trainers and riders and stuff. They're all like sons or nephews or nieces or daughters. They're not like my mom, for example. My mom, nobody in her family was horses. Like she just walked by a farm one day and was like, I like horses. And that was it, you know, and made mommy and daddy buy me a horse. And that was the thing is like, you don't get that much nowadays. It's kind of just, you know, you're filling the shoes in for the family and just kind of keeping that legacy going. So it'd definitely be nicer to see some, you know, out of family kind of move here and kind of just step into the game and start working with horses and then work their way up.
Yeah, I think it's all about letting them know it's available, and I would love to see more places, you know, do that. Bring kids in, let it be whether it be a college day. I know Maryland. I've also seen them do things with the young schools. I don't know exactly what they do, but I have seen pictures and videos of jockeys at the track with a group of young kids, and they're showing them how to ride, and I just love that. I feel like it's super inspiring. We have a comment from Tony Schaefer. TJ's future is bright. Many more wins ahead. We have Grandma Horse Racing. This seems like a great industry to work in. It definitely has its highs and lows. The highs are really high and the lows can be really low.
A roller coaster.
And then we have a question. How do you pick a jockey?
So it's either one of two options. It's the ones that want to ride for me. That's the biggest thing is those people that are eager and hungry that come by the barn, obviously, and say, hey, you know, I'd really like to ride your horses. You know, I think this horse is really nice. I'd like an opportunity. Like those are things that really kind of drag me to those jocks or, you know, obviously I'm really good friends with a lot of jocks just from growing up in the jocks room with my mom. So it's just one of those things is like Xavier Perez, for example, growing up with him, just one of those things is like, I trust you to ride my horse, et cetera, with everybody else.
Yeah, and speaking of that, do you so obviously you're at the track in the morning. Do you go to the track every night, race days, no matter if your horses run or not? Or do you just go when your horses are running?
It's 50-50. Obviously, I got the live stream on TV when I'm home. But if, like, the wife's working all day, I'll be home taking care of the dogs. We got 3 dogs and a little puppy. So it's kind of one of those things. You don't want them to be in the crate all day. So I'll sit here and do what I can do here at home. But obviously, when we get the opportunity, we're always at the racetrack.
What kind of dogs you got?
We can see them. Bring them on camera if they're there.
right here laying next to me.
Oh, look how cute. Hi, cuties.
This is Skylar. This is our corgi. This is Theodore, the Jack Russell. And this is Levi. He was my wife rescued him in Kentucky.
Oh.
He's a big boy.
Is the Jack Russell a puppy?
Yes, he is the puppy.
Oh,
He says, "Puppy, I'm the puppy." They're
He
so
thinks he's
cute.
a little dog. Yeah, he's a little dog. That's for sure.
So cute.
so do the horses and the dogs get along?
Yeah, actually, we bring them to my wife's parents have a little farm, and we bring them out there and play in the backyard, and they run around in the field, and they know their boundaries. They know not to get near no hooves.
So I actually had and I sent this to Julie, and I've heard this before, and I think it's crazy, but I'll throw this out. I had a random thought Wednesday thing, and somebody commented on Twitter that horses don't really know people. They just, when they hear people, they just think food. So explain to that person. That person might not be watching, but explain to that person how that's completely false and that they do know the difference between people.
They definitely know the difference. They definitely know the difference between what vehicle pulls up too.
Yeah.
They know when it's feed time, when the right vehicle shows up, who's giving out the snacks. And they're a lot smarter than people think. People are, I've heard that comment before where they're like, yeah, horses are dumb. They're letting these riders do what they want on them. They hit them with the crop and this, that, and the third. Like, no, trust me. They know what they're doing. They'll do what they want to do at the end of the day. They have their own mind. They don't want to do it. They won't do it. And they're smart. They're a lot smarter than you think. They know what person's who. My colt, Benny Havens, he's still a colt today. He's turned 6 years old, and he knows when I walk by him, he can grab me and shake me around all he wants. But if somebody else walks by, he just kind of touches his nose on them. Like, I'll say hi, but I know I can't mess with you.
Well, and I feel like the facts are in the numbers too. Like, one of my favorite angles is you can look at a jockey that could be 4 for 4 for a horse. Anybody else gets on that horse isn't winning. And you see that a lot. And that's one of my favorite angles because it's the same odds no matter what, but I'm noticing that.
Yes, definitely.
And you know what, to add to that comment, when they said that on Twitter talking about horses can't see us, well, the gag is horses actually recognize us through their nostrils. Right.
Yep.
So I was always, I grew up in the business as well and with horses, but nose to nose breathing horses, a horse breathes to another horse to identify who that horse is. So if you want a horse to remember you, and we've had layups here and I treat them like they're all my own, but we had one that was really connected to my husband, and he got to ride her right before Christmas. It was the first time he had seen her since she left the farm. And he said, when I go in the paddock, I wonder if she'll recognize me. I said, blow in her nose. So he said when he went in there and he rubbed on her and he was like, she absolutely knew who I was. And I said, yes. And so when I saw that, I saw the comment, I said, they can't see or whatever it was. They can't recognize. They don't usually recognize completely with their eyes. I think that if it's one of your own, they know what you look like. But if you want one to remember you, breathe on them.
Sean, how you were talking about the jock and the horse connection. I have a filly of my wife and her mom own. Her name's Lot of Class, Little Sass. And she is all sass. Let me just tell you. And she is a very picky horse. She didn't hit the board for her first 7 starts. And there's her 8th start, and Kevin Gomez is riding her. I said, Kevin, once you hit this 8th start, we're not eligible here in Maryland. Like, we got to go out of town, and I don't want to go out of town. And Kevin looks at me and says, I don't want to go out of town. Like, perfect. So I need you to hit the board today so we don't have to do that. And I kid you not, he rode her. We finished 3rd that day, and she was 80-1. And our very next start, Kevin rode her again. She breaks her maiden for maiden 20,000 off the turf, and she was 25-1 that day. And Kevin sadly got hurt a few weeks later and broke his collarbone. And during that time, she's still got to run. She's healthy, even though my rider's not. Only one problem: she don't like nobody but Kevin Gomez. She literally has refused to run. She'll start to make a move, and as soon as she felt the jock move his hands, she was like, "They're not Kevin," and then just was like, "No, thank you."
What do you think the difference? What do you think the difference is there?
Did he get? Hold on. Did he get to get back on her and went on her after that? After he got hurt?
So he just came back to riding this past week,
Oh.
and her best numbers were on the grass. So she's actually kicked out in the field with double fireball as we speak.
Okay, so for the new year, maybe coming up.
Yes,
Okay.
definitely.
Nice.
What do you think the difference is there when horses respond to different? Like, what do you think Kevin does differently than every other jockey?
So there's a lot of things that come into it. There's a lot of different style of riders. There's finesse riders. There's strong riders. There's speed jocks. There's one that love to come closing, and she's just kind of one that he kind of just lets her do whatever she wants to do, and he just they got a bond. I kid you not. Like, she loves to buck me off in the morning. I never came off. I will say that. I got really improved.
Knock on wood.
Hey, yes, knock on wood, knock on wood. But she is a bucking little buckaroo, and she's got a short neck, so it's even worse because she got nothing to hold on to. But she loves the buck, and I kid you not, I put Kevin on. She don't buck.
I love that.
She just knows. She knows she can mess with me, but she's like, oh, I got my rider. I'm happy.
Yeah,
Another interesting.
It's so real. It's such a real thing.
Yeah, another interesting thing you touched on a little bit earlier about turf horses and the weather. What goes into the thought, and what do you do with your horses when they come off the turf? Will you ever run that horse on the dirt just to get a race in? Will you do it if you think the horse is good at the dirt, or will you just scratch the horse automatically?
All depends on the horse. Like, actually, Double Fireball, she's won 3 races for me. One was on the turf, and the other 2 were actually sloppy conditions. So it really just depends on the horse. I'm one of those people, like, when it's kind of funny. I actually have a lot of sloppy track wins. It's either sloppy or turf. I think I have, out of my 14 wins, only 1 fast track. All are sloppy or turf.
Wow.
Well, that's another angle. So I guess you believe in that angle, that sloppy. If you're good in the slop, you're good in the turf. If you're good in the turf, you're good in the slop.
Absolutely. I really do think of that angle. And so 9 times out of 10, I run my horse. So and it's kind of funny because a lot of people say, oh, do you train in the rain? Like, when it's raining going down in the morning? I'm actually, no, I just shed row. I keep them in the shed row. So it's like, it's just one of those things. They either like it or they don't, but I give them that shot.
We have a question from Grandma Horse Racing. Do you connect better with the younger trainers and jockeys, or does it matter?
Not necessarily. I guess the kind of like group of trainers and jockeys that I do kind of hang out with or whatever, they are definitely in the younger side. Brittany Russell and Ferrier, they're in their 30s and they're younger compared to the Jerry Robs and, you know, those older trainers like Dale Capuano and stuff like that. But not really. I connect really well with everybody, or I try to at least. I think I do. So that's about it.
I love that.
What's the long-term plan? You said you have, 9 horses right now? How many horses in your head by the time you're done training do you think you'll have at one time?
So we actually got up to 24 last year, and I think that's probably going to be the number that we're going to be around again this year. You know, kind of losing a couple horses from claims and just purchasing a lot of 2-year-olds, you know, yearlings turning 2 and stuff like that. I think we got probably about a dozen to 17 to come in the next 2 months. So definitely looking to be around that 20 to 25 range.
Any more bucket list things we can look forward to for 2023? Any you know, crazy itches, or what are we going to see from TJ other than at the races?
Definitely, hopefully more stakes wins. Got the first one checked off, but the big one is definitely to win one on Maryland Million Day. I got nailed on the wire on Maryland Million Day with Double Fireball. I mean, I got beat by the favorite right at the wire. I mean, a head bob. So that would be really big to win one on the big day here. Just getting down that road. Eventually, you know, future in my career, obviously everybody wants to be a part of the Triple Crown. So that's definitely the dream. It's always the dream. And Breeders' Cup. Anytime I can get opportunity running those big days is what I want to do.
We've got Russell Schlock, a future Hall of Fame trainer for sure. If I said your name wrong, forgive me, Russell. Honest and forthright. We agree. Thank you,
Russell.
And then we have another one. Grandma Horse Racing is translating for me. Thank you, Grandma. Jorge wants to know if you would like to run or ride on bigger tracks. I'm a little confused by that question, Grandma.
Definitely not gonna be riding on any bigger track.
Where are we gonna go?
Yeah.
Would you ever see yourself doing an amateur race on the bull ring? Let's flip it that way.
Probably not. I'm gonna stay home.
Abort mission.
Yeah, no, I'm staying home. They were really nice to me inside the jocks room here in Maryland. I'm just gonna stay at home, with familiar faces and
hold on, but what happened to break and send?
I'll do that here in Maryland. That's good enough for me. We're also on the turf here in Maryland, so it's a little softer landing if I, come off. So,
but if you do it at Charlestown, you may get free, and they're not catching you.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing. I'll get the horse out of the gate at Charlestown. We'll get it up and go. All right.
Yeah, do a 4.5 for Charlestown. That's all you got to do. You just got to find the right. It's the same as I'll bet a speed horse, and there'll be one or two others that got to pressure my speed horse, but every other horse, gets out. So you just got to find the right race.
It's all about the pony.
That's funny. And that's funny as you guys talk about Charlestown. I'm sitting here. I was trying to catch the third as my husband started, and I thought he had a shot. And as I'm watching, if you heard me go, and I had to mute, he breaks through the gate, pre-post, 2 horses. Everything's just, I was like, it's always something exciting. Okay, so I think the question was, he wants to know if you would like to compete at bigger tracks.
Yeah, no, definitely. Hopefully I can find the right horse to travel the world with. My dad had a horse called Take a Chance on Me, and he went all over the world with that horse. He went to Canada, was multiple greatest stakes place. Just one of those things, if you get the opportunity, take it and run with it. And the dreams, I want to go to like Del Mar. Always seen it on TV, how beautiful it is. Keeneland. My wife went to college in Kentucky, and that's all she talks about is we need to go there.
Keeneland's beautiful.
I want to go there for a reason. I just don't want to go visit. I want to be there for a purpose.
Yeah, Keeneland's beautiful, and then of course, if you go, you have to check out Old Friends and do like the stallion tours because it's amazing. I've never made it out to California myself either, but where the surf meets the turf, that's always been a dream of mine too. It looks like a really cool track.
Yeah, I want to go to Saratoga too. That's another one. I have never been there either.
Yeah, that's a super fun meet.
I just went there last summer. That's how I met some of the guys, Rich, Terry, Tom. That's the first time I was there. It was everything they say it is. It was great. The only thing I will say too is it was a lot. It's funny. Everybody says fans are at Saratoga, but a lot of people were more in the infield watching it on their phones anyway, so they really weren't watching the track. So, but another thing I wanted to touch on.
Here's Terry, Sean.
Come Golden Gate. There you go, Golden Gate.
Every night he talks about Golden Gate.
Hey, that's another track that I've watched on TV. It looks very beautiful. Trust me, I'm always open to going to any track.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, if you got the ticket, why not ride the wave, right?
Exactly.
Who would turn down that opportunity if they had the means?
Another thing I wanted to touch on, just because everybody can relate, you said about losing the weight. How long did it take you to lose the weight to get to be able to be a jockey? And then also, how quick was it able to come right back on?
I'll tell you one thing. I talking about putting it back on. The first thing I did, I'm suited up. I'm about to go down for my race. I walk around the jocks room. They have a kitchen inside the jocks room. I tell the cook back there, I said, listen, I'll be back in like 15, 20 minutes. I want a grilled cheese with bacon and a soda. And because I haven't had bread or any soda for the last 45 days. And
oh my God.
I'm just like itching for it because I weighed about $150 before.
Okay.
And I got my weight down to $138, and just it's not just about getting it down; it's about maintaining it.
Yeah. And
it's the other thing is you can't beat yourself up to that point to where you have no strength. You can't physically do it, and that's another thing is just trying to maintain the right balance of health and the diet.
And that's crucial. And we'll just put it out there for regular jockeys, amateur jockeys. You don't need to be out there killing yourself where you have no strength, or you're fatigued, or and I see a lot of these younger guys trying to get into the racing, and they want it fast. so they're doing it the wrong way. Then if I ever see it, I always try to tell them, no, that's going to get you nowhere real fast, really, really fast. Because, when you take from the body that quickly, it's going to come back faster and it's harder to keep it off. So, but that's pretty cool that you took 45 days, focused on your weight and making that right for your bucket list. I love that. I couldn't have done it. I like bread too much.
Trust me, it was really tough, and I tell you, because obviously I weighed in that morning, I weighed 138, and we had like this little party thing kind of to celebrate me doing it all, and Barrier bought a bunch of food for his house, and let me tell you, I put on 8 pounds that night. Right next to 146, I was like, yeah.
They were all teasing you, probably like, what happened to your jockey dreams?
Oh, trust me, I was already getting teased because I went to the front and I stopped. I hit a wall real quick, and so I was already getting that. And then it was like, I was just trying to hurry up and get to the kitchen as fast as I could.
Get some food. He was hungry.
The faster my horse went, the faster I got back to the doc's room. Right?
Did she have your food ready?
Yes, it was hot, crispy, sitting there wrapped in the tin foil, just waiting for me next to a cold soda.
I love that.
Was it the best food you've ever had in your life at that point?
I was just savoring every bite. Let me tell you.
All right, TJ. Well, I'm good. I've asked all my questions. Sean, what else you got?
Well, I'll ask what I try to ask every trainer. Do you bet on your own horses?
I do. I won't lie and say I don't. I do. I don't bet every last horse. I just bet the ones that I feel confident in. And obviously you want to be confident in every horse that you run. But there's sometimes you'll run into a horse that's coming from 25,000 and for 10. And it's just like one of those things is like, you hope to run second. If I beat him, I'm more ecstatic. Because obviously the only way I make money is when the owners make money.
Right.
At the end of the day, it's like, I bet when I own my own horses, really. Like, that's the biggest thing. But the key is like I don't make no money if you don't make no money. So it's like if we lose and I bet and I lost, I'm negative on the day. I don't want to be negative on the day.
Right.
So it's one of those things is I might put $20 win play show, when we're long odds, like 10 to 15-1, and just, hope to hit and, make an extra couple $100.
Yes. I'm not a big bettor, but I do the $20 win play show sometimes.
Yeah.
But then sometimes I feel, do you ever find yourself feeling guilty to bet on yourself? Because I know when I watch the races and I watch like Andre ride, I'm like, okay, if we get the win and I bet, is that greed? Like, am I crossing myself out by being too greedy here?
Yeah, no, I don't look at it that way. And it's like, I got a couple of, I quote unquote say they're fans that are in the grandstand. They're always asking me, how you think your horse is going to do? I'll just tell them exactly how I think it's going to play out. It kind of sucks when you're the speed and there's 3 other speed horses in the race. And it's just one of those things is you luck of the draw. Did you draw the 14 post or did you draw the rail with the first time starter? Like I had a really nice 2-year-old last year. It's actually Benny Haven's full brother. His name's Tidewater. He ran first time out, going 5.5 on the grass. And I said, this horse is better than Benny. But there's only one problem. I drew the 1 hole and I'm going 5.5, and he's never ran on the grass yet. It was his first start, so he's never even worked on it. And it was just one of the things like, do I bet him or do I not? And it's just like, no, I'm not going to bet him. I'm just going to let him do his thing and just, we'll regroup and tackle it then.
Yeah.
So that was my next question, what you tell fans. So I won't say that. I'll end it with, what else do you do for fun outside of horses, which I know there's probably not a lot of time.
He takes care of the dogs.
Yeah. Just spending time with friends and family and with the wife. She hates Sundays because that's football Sunday, and I am a big, big, big football fan. That was honestly my first love, I would say, was football. And I got like 20 fantasy football teams, and I'm constantly watching every play. She'll come in here. I'll have 4 football games on the TV, and I'll have my laptop up playing the red zone in front of me. So I'll have everything just rocking and rolling, living life in the football world.
So that's a great way to end it. And I'll touch on that too. I've been with Hillary 12 years. And when we got together, I told her Sundays, look, I watch TV from 12 to 12. Like, this is what I do. And she understood and she respected it, but I think she thought it would end after a couple of years. She, to this day, it's like, you really thought this was the end, but it's not the end anytime soon. So ending it on that note, you're going to join Rich and I on Friday night at 10 o'clock. We also do a football show. So great to talk to you today. And then I'll talk to you again Friday night.
Yes, absolutely. Like I said, guys, thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and I really appreciate you guys.
Yeah, we're so thankful that you were able to join us tonight, and can't wait to see you on the football show Friday. And I'm sure we'll be keeping an eye on you. We'll have you on later in the year.
Perfect. I would love it.
All right, TJ, we'll talk soon. Have a good night.
See you guys. Thank you. Have a good night.
Bye.
Thanks, TJ.
All right. Well, that was a great interview to wrap up the Horse Center week.
Absolutely.
What a cool guy. You know, I knew his dad just the years of like hustling book. You know, I would talk to his dad just, you know, when I'd see him shipping to Charlestown or something, I'd always try to hustle them out. But I never knew anything about the family beyond that. So really cool interview. I learned a lot. He seems like a really, really nice guy. And I'd like to see him do great things in the new year. I love all these youngsters in the 20s, like doing phenomenal things. I mean, I don't know who I was in my 20s. So
yeah, it was awesome. And I knew it. I knew it'd be, it's funny, as TJ, we were friends on Facebook. I knew he was a trainer, didn't know too much about him, knew the name, and kept an eye on him because people that support us, I want to bring them on the show. Yeah. So I kept an eye on him, was eventually going to reach out to him and say, hey, do you want to come on? And then we had Bryson Butterfly on, and he said TJ a couple times, and he shared it, and I was like, all right, I'm reaching out to TJ now, and we scheduled it. And then earlier today, we were talking football and everything else. I knew today's show. I mean, we went 50-some minutes here.
Right. I love interviews like that. It makes my job easier when it's natural conversation and it's
yes.
You know, it's I'd rather it be 50 minutes than 30 and me staring like snacks, you know. But this week's been great. I mean, we had a great week between Dana, Maddie, TJ. I think we wrapped it up quite nicely. And then you want to tell them what's coming up next week?
Yeah, so next week, Horse Center, you're back next week because Jamie will be on her cruise. So you're still in the saddle here. We have Deshaun Parker on Monday. He returns to Horse Center.
Super excited. Then
Tuesday, Katie Davis McCarthy. She's been on our other show. She's never been on Horse Center, but she's back riding too after becoming a mother and everything. So she'll have plenty to talk about. Yeah. And then Wednesday, we have your ex-boss, David Fox, trainer.
It's going to be the funniest interview. I love his stories. I know I've said that so many times. He is one of the greatest storytellers I've ever heard. And then I would work for him. He would tell me things, and I didn't even know. You know, he was a jockey. Wait till you hear that story. You're gonna cackle. I'm gonna save it. It is hilarious. So yeah, well, awesome. And then what else we got coming? How's Jockey Survivor doing?
Good. I will say, just running joke that we got going with Ruben Severa. We only had one person pick Ruben Severa today, and
really?
He did not win a race today. So, other than that, we have, up to the last update, we have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, about 15 people out, and there was about 4 people that still needed to find out if they were advancing or not.
Okay.
So average day, 15 to 20 people out. So we'll move on tomorrow with 30-some people.
That's not bad. I mean, we eliminated most of ourselves the first day.
And then tomorrow, Rich and Charles will be back with Aqueduct at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, going over the whole card, giving all their bets, doing the $100 budget. Other sports, if you bet on that, pickswiththeprofessor.com, at Professor Sides on Twitter, and type in Picks with the Professor on YouTube. He's got a channel. We'll go through all the statistics and everything else. And then Friday, I'm not sure if they're doing an international show or not. I know Tom's going to be off a couple weeks, so I'm not sure what Rich is doing there. And then Friday night, we'll be back with football. Playoffs start Saturday. So it will be Rich, me. I'm not sure if Jared's going to be there, but we'll know TJ Aguirre will be there. So
that'll be exciting. We're going to do face on. That'll be cool. And he seems to love football, so what a perfect place for him to get on. All right. Well,
before we go too, obviously like, subscribe,
Follow
Facebook.
us on TikTok. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Facebook. Follow all the platforms because we have some really exciting things in the works for content and some things that we're dropping this year. And you guys don't want to miss it. So please follow us on all platforms to stay posted and updated.
Yeah, and then a friend of the show, Skylar Spanable, went down today at Tampa. The horse went down as well. I was glad to report the horse is completely fine. Unfortunately, Skylar did break her collarbone after breaking her arm in July, but it could have been a lot worse. So, you know, I'm always glad when I'm able to text somebody or message somebody and they get back to me pretty soon and give me an update, because that way I at least know they're okay, because it can be really, really bad. So Skylar will be back. She is one tough cookie, like they say. She's had a few setbacks in her career, but she's always right back. So
we will wrap it up with a few kind comments. Grandma Horse Racing, love what you do. Another great interview. William came in. Good job, guys. And Terry with great show. Thanks, Terry. All right, Sean. Well, that takes us wire to wire. And I will see you next week. And I will see the rest of you guys in
the winner circle.
Yes. The winner circle. I hear him in the background. All right. Well, I hope everybody has a good Wednesday night. And we'll see you later.